Hello there and welcome back to the channel, and this time doing a bit more work on the Volvo because we've got a few bits of progress that I'm working on. Bit of an update on the exhaust situation, the windscreen situation, things like that. So I'll cover a few things and we'll get right into the video. So there's a few things that are out of sequence with the Volvo 480. At the moment I'm keeping it mainly under a cover just because it's starting to get colder, rainier weather. Now this cover is actually the one that I think I've had on a previous video where I've said it's not the best because it's like a cloth. So although it's breathable, what that means is moisture gets underneath it, which isn't ideal. So it's not an all-weather cover, but because I don't currently have a windscreen, it's a necessary requirement. So that bit of wood there is just to keep the shape so that there's no dips and water doesn't go kind of straight in. That's keeping it covered for now. I am obviously underneath my repaired carport because over some of the storms over the past few years, this has become damaged. So I've rebuilt this. Actually what I've done is I've used some more battens on it to make sure that the pieces don't flex. That seems to have done the trick. And that keeps us dry generally for doing work on the Volvo. Now you'll notice the bonnet is up because what I've been looking at is the horn. The horn has not worked for quite some time. In fact, I can't rightly remember whether it did work at all. Don't really remember that, but it's certainly not working now. I'll show you what I've been checking out. As we go underneath, the first thing that you notice is the horn is hanging down, or one of them, because there's two, it's twin tone. That one is still attached. That one, you may notice, it also came with the bracket because it's completely rusted through where the bracket goes. So I'm going to have to make a new bracket. That's not a major problem. What I did, took the two connectors, these are just spade connectors with rubber boots to protect them, took that off and connected the horn straight up to a 12-volt battery. That worked, so I know that the horn itself works. The wiring here looks intact, never quite sure of that, but so far this bit looks okay, so I decided to go elsewhere. The next easy thing to check is into our fuse box. Now the fuse for this, it's used for a couple of things, central door locking, long range lights and the horn. Now I know that the central door locking works, so it suggests the fuse was okay. I still took it out and tested it just to be sure, and that does work. So it's not the fuse that's blown. And that took me on to the next thing itself, which is the horn mechanism itself, so the actual button. Now on this car, this has the airbag. So it means you do have to be a little bit more careful when you work on it. You can see it's got the SRS. So this has got the airbag module built into it. Now I have had the steering wheel off completely in the past, and I wonder if that's caused the problem or whether the problem's always been there. So disconnecting the battery, leave it for 10 minutes, let it completely discharge, and then I can take the two Allen keys, or take a couple of Allen keys to the rear and lift the horn assembly out. And we've got that connector on the back of there, which is just a push fitting, if I remember. Trying to be delicate with it. Don't want to damage it, there we go. Okay, so I can take the airbag module out, and you're supposed to set the airbag module facing up over like that apparently. And now we can get inside and look at the mechanism. It's very simple. What it is, these two metal strips here, when you press the horn, you can see they're spring mounted and they connect these two wires together. Now this one is the ground, it touches the the metal outer, and I think that's probably grounded through the centre. And then there's this one which runs on the split ring. Now it's also called a coil spring, and that's where I suspect the problem may be. But I can use my multimeter and test these out. First of all, check that I'm getting a decent ground to here, and then check the buttons and work it out from there. So what I'm doing is I'm checking to see whether the ground is working. Like I say, it's on the chassis here, so this piece of metal here, and that goes onto this piece here. Don't know if you can hear it, but the meter is beeping, which means continuity. So if I now put the probe onto a bit of the bodywork, that's working okay. And if I now touch the pin onto there and then to the bodywork, so we know that ground is okay. We're getting ground to the wheel. The next thing is when the circuit is connected, when it's made, when that touches, it sends it to this one, which in turn through the split ring then comes underneath into this little connector here. And this is where I can then do another test and see what that's like, because the suspicion is that it's the connection between here and the split ring. Well, what I've found is the signal wasn't getting through at all. So what I did was I took the steering wheel off and took a look at it, because actually there's another connector in there, but I think that must be okay. Taking the steering wheel off, with this being the airbag, you want to lock the clock spring, which you do using this screw here into this hole. And that lets you take the steering wheel off, which I did, and I've cleaned up the connectors at the back, because the connectors, this all came off the connectors, you can see, pretty bad. And I think that is what the problem has been. I think it's just been dirty, and obviously with the wheel not moving much as well, it hasn't been making a good contact. Hopefully put it all back together now and that will work. Now you do not reconnect the battery without the airbag connected up, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it all back together and hopefully that's going to work. What I've done is attach the airbag again so that system's happy. Got the battery connected back up again. What I can do is join this little connector up like that, and hopefully, hey, success, we've fixed it. So it looks like it was just down to the dirty connectors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to go disconnect the battery again, leave it for 10 minutes so I can then disconnect the airbag and put it all back together. That's the wheel reassembled back on. Now I've got the battery disconnected, but I'm just checking that it still presses and clicks okay. I think that's a successful job. And now just onto the other thing, need to have a look at the horn and work out how I can fasten that bracket back in. Well, not so much fasten the bracket back in, but make a new one or find out where to attach it. Now I could just cheat and use cable ties. You can see where they're supposed to attach. You can see the hole where that used to attach. That's actually looking quite bad condition, that one, which isn't ideal. Hopefully that's going to be okay. But yeah, I think let's see what sort of bracket or fastening I can make to hold that in. Well, it's attached. Am I proud of it? No, not really. A simple circlip is holding it in place, but it's secure and it's fastened for now. And until I can think of what else to do under here, I'm not sure, because this is in quite a bad state. And I'm actually not sure what's going to happen with this, because it's kind of part of the fan of the radiator assembly. And I'm not really sure Whether that's going to be repairable, whether it can be like that, whether it'll get through an MOT like that, I'm not really sure. But I think that one I'm going to leave for now, and yeah, just hope that that one's going to be okay. And after that, the next thing is to put the new windscreen in, and that one definitely going to be a video separately, because it's going to take a bit of doing. Also going to need a relatively warm, dry day. A little bit like today wouldn't be too bad for it, to be absolutely honest. So hopefully I'll get another day like this and I can do it then. There we go, fairly short video this time, just to get the horn working and show you that. But that's another quick fix on the Volvo. That's one that I've been putting off for a while and hasn't been too bad to fix, to be honest. So if you want to see more videos about the Volvo, subscribe, pop a like down the bottom, and I'll see you next time.